I'm John Morris. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Entrepreneurial Growth at Tech 2020. We are certainly glad to have you here this morning. I wanted to start with a quote, and the quote is, "Innovation is the specific instrument of entrepreneurship, the act that endows resources with a new capacity to create wealth." That's why we're here today. And the two panels that we have coming up for you are going to be focused on wealth creation from innovation. The first panel is going to be focused on venture investing, continued from Grady's talk, breakfast this morning. And then the second session we're going to have are regional leaders who are looking to leverage the assets that we have in this region for future growth. And so I'm really looking forward to both of these panels. And I'm going to introduce Grady Vanderhoofen right now, our little giant.
Thanks, John, and thank you to everyone who's here for this panel discussion. I think this should be an excellent discussion. We've brought in experts from all over the country, literally, to participate in this discussion on venture capital. And the general theme of the session is do's and don'ts of raising venture capital, particularly today. And what I want to do first is introduce the panelists. So I have a bio on each of the panelists. And you are all pretty well accomplished folks, so hopefully we won't use all our time on the bios. But I'm going to try to cover the bios because I think it says a lot about the quality of our panelists. And then I'll have a number of questions for the panelists, and what I'm going to try to do is not use up all of our time. I know we're starting a little late. I'll try to not use up all of our time so that if the audience has questions, you have a chance to ask some questions yourselves. On our panel we have Steve Dauphin with Murphy Venture Partners out of Houston, Texas. Steve is one of three partners making investment and management decisions for Murphy Growth Equity Funds 1 and 2. The funds take positions in rapidly growing, technology-enhanced private companies in the greater southeastern U.S. The two funds combined have commitments in excess of $80 million and investors that include Prudential Insurance Company of America and the Kimball Art Museum of Fort Worth. Steve serves on the boards of Entrenergy, Object Reservoir, and Smart Furniture, which is in Chattanooga. Prior to that, he was with Bonaventure Investment Company in Birmingham, Alabama. And prior to that, and frankly I think this is the most interesting thing on his bio, he was a special agent with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. I have to read this, Steve, because it's so interesting. A member of Phoenix Enforcement Group 2, which apprehended numerous multi-kilo cocaine and methamphetamine traffickers. Also a member of the division's clandestine lab enforcement team, specially trained for raids on manufacturing sites. This is how he came to understand entrepreneurs and got into the venture capital business. He got his bachelor's degree from Harvard University and his MBA from the University of North Carolina. Kathy Harris is a partner at Nora Mosley Partners, the oldest and one of the largest venture capital firms in the southeastern U.S. The firm has over $660 million under management through 6 funds and has invested in more than 170 companies. At Nora Mosley, Ms. Harris, Kathy focuses on business development efforts throughout the Southeast. She also focuses on investment activities in the healthcare industry and serves on the board of Valor Healthcare and is a board observer on Senior Whole Health. Ms. Harris has over 25 years of finance and investment experience. Prior to Nora Mosley, she was a partner at Technology Ventures, an Atlanta-based venture capital firm where she evaluated investment opportunities in the information technology areas and actively worked with the firm's portfolio companies. Prior to Technology Ventures, she was vice president at Saram Capital. Prior to Saram, she spent 10 years at J.C. Bradford, where she was senior vice president of the investment banking group. She was involved in more than 100 investment banking transactions totaling over $2 billion, including equity, debt, and convertible debt. She started her career at KPMG. She holds an MBA in Finance and Human Resource Management from the Owen Graduate School of Management at Vanderbilt, and she received her BS in Accounting from Murray State University. Paul Grimm is a 10-year venture capital 10-year veteran in venture capital and founder general partner of Sunbridge Partners, with an investment focus in wireless communications and retail systems. Paul co-founded Sunbridge in 2004 and Equitech Capital in 2000 and serves as the general partner and director for both groups. Since their creation, he has been actively involved in each of the firm's investments, from initial sourcing through due diligence to post-investment strategic guidance. Sunbridge Partners is the U.S. arm of Sunbridge Corporation, a Japan-based venture group created by the founder of Oracle Japan with over 150 employees. The group's track record includes successful IPOs such as Salesforce.com, Gmode, Shiko, and Macromill. Building upon his extensive background in strategic and operational support of developing technologies, Paul has played a key role in developing and guiding the team's targeted, proactive, research-intensive approach to identifying investment opportunities. Paul's prior experience and contacts in the telecommunication and retail industries, particularly in Europe, have been a valuable source of leverage for portfolio companies. Mr. Grimm is currently a board director at Zipit Wireless and Yap. Paul joined Equitech from Gemini Consulting after 5 years in the strategy discipline and the telco and media global business unit, where he focused on market entry strategies and new business ventures in wireless, fixed-line telecom, and IP broadband services. Prior to Gemini, Paul worked in Paris with Coopers & Lybrand's Financial Services Strategy Group and CGI, an IBM company in software and IT services. Paul has an MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management and a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, also from MIT. Roddy Bailey, named as an up-and-coming individual in Chambers USA 2006, practices in the business transaction group at Miller & Martin law firm, in the Tennessee law firm, with an emphasis on the areas of mergers and acquisitions and securities. Mr. Bailey advises companies in capital-raising efforts, including venture capital financing, initial public offerings, follow-on offerings, and placement of debt securities. Mr. Bailey also advises clients on general securities law matters, including compliance with federal securities laws and stock exchange compliance. In addition, Mr. Bailey counsels companies on mergers and acquisition transactions and other corporate matters. Mr. Bailey has counseled a number of clients in seeking venture capital financing, including financing at the angel, growth, and late-stage levels. Mr. Bailey assisted a technology company raise late-stage venture capital as a prelude to an IPO. He has also assisted a software technology company in obtaining multiple rounds of venture capital funding to promote growth in sales and market expansion. Mr. Bailey served as counsel to a leading provider of sampling systems to the life sciences industry in its capital-raising efforts. Mr. Bailey also represents a private equity fund in connection with its acquisition and divestiture transactions, as well as another fund that utilizes federal tax credits to make investments. His experience includes representation of both issuers and investors at every stage of the capital-raising process. Mr. Bailey has a JD from Syracuse University and a bachelor's degree from Georgia Tech. Chuck Witkowski is the founder, president, and chief executive officer of Protein Discovery in Knoxville, Tennessee, a life sciences company that develops, manufactures, and sells tools for clinical research, pharmaceutical drug development, and medical diagnostics. The company currently employs 21 in its headquarters in Knoxville. In his role at PDI, Mr. Witkowski is principally responsible for all aspects of the company's strategy and operations. Since its inception, the company has raised $16 million in venture capital financing, launched 3 patented products, and signed an exclusive distribution agreement with a Fortune 200 global supplier. Before PDI, Mr. Witkowski was a product manager in the semiconductor product sector of Motorola. He received his master's in business administration from the University of Tennessee and his Bachelor of Arts in economics from the University of Montana, Missoula. He's an Eagle Scout, a graduate of the Dale Carnegie Leadership Course, a past member of the Chancellor's Associates of the University of Tennessee and the Board of Directors of Tech 2020. He's the recipient of the 2007 Young Entrepreneur of the Year Pinnacle Award and the recipient of the 2008 Outstanding Entrepreneur of the Year Navigator Award presented by the Innovation Valley Technology Council. That is an impressive group of panelists, guys. Thank you for participating.